June 22nd, Oilers Nation Everyday. 8 days until Connor Brown. Let's get into it with the lead. We're going to post it up for safekeeping so we never lose track of how long until Connor Brown's an Oiler. Welcome into Oilers Nation Everyday, live from the Sports Closet studio. Find them online at sportscloset.ca and live on the Oilers Nation YouTube, where Top Cheese is in with the first comment of the day. Connor Brown, 1 year, $1 million. That's the vibe. That's the play. That's all we're going to talk about today on Oilers Nation Everyday. He is Matt Iwanyk, formerly of TSN 1260. Matt, welcome to the show.
Good day. It's finally I could join you on this show.
Yeah,
ever since you've launched it, we could never do it, obviously, because I was on the air at the same time. But now I don't have a job, so here I am.
Matt Iwanyk, jobless, and you have time now to join us here, which is nice, because we did talk about it a lot while you were on the radio. We tried to make it work.
The one time that could happen was during World Cup, and I was too busy watching soccer. So.
The real reason is because you were itching the competition of going head-to-head with Bob. So you said, I got to get on. I got to be talking Oilers at 12 o'clock somewhere.
Well, no, I've actually been calling Bob all week to get on his show, and he wouldn't let me on still. So
I saw Gregor. I think Gregor was on with Reed Wilkins the other day.
Really?
Yeah, isn't that an interesting crossover?
I don't know if Gregor would have ever been on Ched before.
Honestly, probably
he
not.
Started back at like the start of TSN or whatever that was. So I don't know if he'd ever been on Ched.
It was kind of like when Frank left TSN, and then all of a sudden he's popping up on Bob's show too.
He was doing Sportsnet hits and all of
Worlds collide.
It's always weird.
Worlds collide. Exactly, Liam.
Next week we'll have Low Tide, and then we'll have Jameson. It'll be great.
It would be good. I thought it'd be fun to do like a roundtable, a reunion roundtable. You know what they do on like reality TV shows? They do those live, the tell-alls at the end.
The Vanderpump was the big one recently.
Did you watch that?
No, but I talked to a few people and they said it was messed up. Like it was 3 episodes.
That is crazy.
Boy.
The reunion was 3 different episodes because it was that wild. So
we do have comments are great on YouTube. We do have a lot to get to today on the show. We're gonna have a short for giant off-season question coming up in a second. A whole bunch of AMA Travel trade machines. A lot of them. AMAtravel.ca. Now that you don't have a job, I just can't hammer that home enough, Matt. Anywhere you really want to travel to.
Anywhere that's, let's see, Europe?
You want to go see some footy in Europe?
Well, not right now because there is no footy right now.
I know.
But I would love to just go to Europe. Or
you have your Italian passport.
I'm an Italian citizen. So I can
Must be nice to have a dual citizenship.
You have one?
Nope.
Oh, okay. He's just got the one, and it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
One for me, Brexit has to happen, and could have been there. It's all EU. We don't need to get into all that. No one cares.
Well, no, that was next on my list, actually. So the Alberta election, Matt.
Let's get into that one.
I loved saying that around election time. Drop your hottest election takes in the YouTube chat. No, we're not doing that. If you do have questions, though, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll get to it. Yesterday, we got off on that weird tangent about fast food. So feel free to ask us whatever, honestly. I saw people were tweeting you Papa John's codes.
Oh, listen to this. I'm glad you brought that up. This is an absolute banger from Kailer. Watching ONE and need to let Liam Horrobin know Papa John's has a late night discount code, 50% off after 10 p.m. all summer. Night 50 promo code. Now that is
clutch code.
Crazy.
It's a good code.
Yeah, that is a big one.
Especially if you're shit-faced.
Well, that's the thing. That is an awesome promo code for everyone to have.
That was like the uni one that Domino's had for a while. Do they still have it?
You know,
I think people kind of called on
John's.
Papa John's used to do the on the Monday after an NFL Sunday, the highest scoring team on the Sunday. That was the % off pizza you got the next day. I think up to 50 or something.
Yeah, they did that. I remember they did that when I was in high school still, because me and my buddies on the Monday after, if there was a high enough scoring game, we'd be like, hell yeah, we can go get Papa John's for lunch. And there was one by the school in St. Albert.
Wonder if the Gregor code word still works.
Code word Grigor. I remember that's what the ads always said. Well, Jason Gregor is going to be co-hosting this show with me next week in Nashville, and that will all be brought to you by Papa John's. So look at all the brand synergy we got going on here. Before we talk Oilers, Matt, I want to talk TSN 1260 memories with you.
Sure.
There's obviously people here who have an interest in that. I want to know your biggest, I'll start with this. I'll start with the positive side of it. Your favorite get all time in terms of a guest.
It was Wayne Gretzky, probably. That one took a little bit. Got that one done. And
what was it about?
Well, it was around when Joey Moss got inducted to, I think, the Alberta Sports Hall of Fame.
Okay.
So we got him on, and then there's someone, and it was with Dave Jameson, and there's a guy, Don Metz, who used to run Aquila and all the production for the Oilers. He listened to it. He knows Gretzky, and he said afterwards to Dave, like, I could tell Gretzky really enjoyed that interview. So that was probably one of my favorite gets. I did get John Herdman before the Canada matches here in Edmonton, which was awesome, and I got to interview him for that one. So those would be two of the top gets I ever got.
My favorite guest story. This isn't, I don't think it's my all-time favorite get, but it was kind of right before I left. It was right before an NHL draft, and I emailed the Oilers and asked them to get Tyler Wright. And they agreed. Tyler Wright was coming on the show the next day at like 10:20, and I knew Low Tide would, for lack of a better phrase, shit his pants.
Yes,
and
in a great way.
He was doing it from home, and I remember I was sitting, Lieutenant Eric was behind me, and I was like, all right, here we go. I was like, hey Al, like who do you want to have on the show tomorrow, man? And he was like, oh, it's Wednesday or whatever. We got McCurdy, this, that. And I go, hey, what if I could get you Tyler Wright? And there was just like silence, and he was like, yeah, okay. And I was like, yeah, no, he's coming on tomorrow at 11. And then he was silent again. He goes, if you're screwing with me right now. And he was like, he thought I was messing with him, but that was a good one.
The other good one I had is when Speck had the show on our station. It took me a few weeks to get Mac T on, but we had the interview of Mac T where he talked about Sean Horkov and Ales Hemsky and time to move on and bold moves and stuff. Like we had that big interview with Mac T. So that was a good one to have too.
You had Lisa Ann on once?
I did. We did. Dave's. Yeah, we had. So she started working in sports.
Who's that?
She was sports broadcasting.
Hey, Aaron,
for those that don't know,
Aaron, pull up a clip.
I'll pull it up.
For those that don't know, she is a, I think, retired porn star now. Legendary in some people's minds. But she started doing sports and like a sports talk show or something. Dave wanted to talk to her, and she wrote a book. So I ended up reaching out to the publisher. He connected with Lisa Ann. Her and I were emailing each other. Her and I still follow each other on Twitter.
Really?
Yeah, she wanted to follow us just because we're doing this and like promote each other. And it's one I always still check. Like, does Lisa Ann still follow me? Yep. And she liked Low Tide's tweet once to me. Really? Like, I've never seen her show up in my notifications once. He said something to me and I like retweeted it. All of a sudden I saw Lisa Ann like Low Tide's tweet. I was like, that is a crazy duo.
Wow.
I forgot about Lisa Ann.
That was a good one. I remember I didn't work at the station, but I was driving to my job at the mall when you guys had her on. I remember being like, what is this radio? I didn't work. I was like, what is this station doing right now? Yeah, you guys
careful if you're looking up Lisa Ann. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk hockey, I guess. Because now the comments are getting unhinged. Which one of you guys just what?
Let's read some of them.
I can't. Dr. Gonzo's is just emojis, so we can't read those. I like telling me, like, yeah, yo, Aaron, pull up a clip. Maynard asks if we're going to talk more about this kind of stuff. No, we're going to move on. And then Bryce, in the middle of a bunch of comments that say things like "mommy," says, "If Mitch falls to 7, can the Oilers trade him for him?"
See, back to Tozig. That was one of the best parts of the inbox. You'd be having a conversation about anything that's not Oilers, and all of a sudden there'd be that one text that comes in that's just on the Oilers.
Dude, it could be like August 23rd. Nothing has happened for 3 weeks, and you'd be like, all right, the Jays are coming up to the waiver trade deadline. They're going to make a big splash, and someone would be like, how would you distribute the fourth line wing minutes next year? Like, think about that. Chew on it a bit. And you would have to, because that's what the people want.
I respect it.
Okay, hockey talk. Countdown for Connor Brown. It's 8 days to go, Maddie. We are all in on this thing, and I'm partially going all in on it because I'm convinced it's going to be the only big move they make this summer. Do you agree with that? Or do you think Ken Holland's going to have the final year of his contract itch?
I've always been known as the negative guy on 12-6, and I guess I'm bringing it to Oilers Nation. It's one of those situations. You look at the cap for the Oilers. You look at just what they also did last year, which is if they had average goaltending, they probably have a really good chance, if not beat the Golden Knights, which then we saw the rest of that, could win the Stanley Cup. You get a little bit of better goaltending play, this team can win a cup. So why make some big changes? Connor Brown is the easy one, just because the rumor's been going on for how long? Like it's been over a year. Like that everyone's saying that Connor Brown's going to be an Oiler. So I think you're looking at Ken Holland's kind of not doing that much. And it's not going to be a fun, wild summer where the Oilers are making major changes to the roster. It's going to be small things. Like naturally, somebody's going to have to go at least one of Yamamoto or Foegele. You'd have to think just to make it work, just to bring back some of the guys.
Yeah.
But I think you're looking at Ken Holland just running it back. And the moves he's going to make is he's going to wait for 60%, 65% of the season come, trade deadline happen, and then figure out where he needs to fix the team, whether that's because of injury, whether that's because of play. That's when he could go do it, because the Oilers also have the advantage where the East loaded up last year at the deadline. A lot of teams don't have first-round picks for next year. The Oilers in the West do kind of have that. And while teams could then trade the next year's pick, you have the more immediate, we could give you a pick this year.
Yeah.
And I could see Ken Holland holding on to that for the deadline to help bolster this team.
People are calling it the final. Who was it? I'm sorry. So Baked. I always never say her name. I just say you're a people. So Baked says it's the final count Brown. That's a good one. I like that. That ties into our Short for Giant offseason question for today. It's Armchair GM Day, where Liam and I both sat. We used the cap-friendly Armchair GM tool. We wrote out and plotted out how our off seasons are going to look. And Matt, we're going to use you as like the moderator of it.
Cool.
In the sense that you'll tell us how realistic you think our moves are. So we'll start. I think step one is going to be RFAs, Liam, and how we're going to handle bringing them back. RFAs and trades is kind of part one of this.
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
And just free agent signings, I think it is.
Okay. So
I think they're all just in one block.
Okay. So I think we have Liam's up first. So take us through.
Liam's first.
Okay. Liam, take us through your first bundle of moves
All
here
right.
that you can see the Oilers making.
So I just kind of, the trade away ones, I just dumped them,
Cap
to be
dumps.
honest. Yeah, like found someone with cap. Maybe you could get a third for Foegele.
I think it's a bit heavy.
I think it's probably the highest you could get for him. Probably a fourth. Yamamoto, fifth is probably the highest too. I aim big. Re-signed Bouchard for 3.5 for the 1 year, and then Clem Shady for 2 years, 1.5. McLeod 2 years, 2 million, and Lavoie 2 years, 900K. Then I signed Connor Brown, David Kempf, and Matthias Janmark as my free agents.
Okay.
I did some maneuvering on the cap, Tyler. We are running a 20-man roster here.
So you're running 12 forwards,
6D.
6D, and 2 goalies.
2 goalies.
I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they have an interest in doing that again.
Why?
this year.
They did it. They already did it.
But it was hard. It caused a lot of problems. And I
It's
think
true.
you try to give yourself some flexibility this year. I like that. Like, if you could get rid of Yamamoto, like I like Foegele, what he did in the second
Me
half
too.
of the season, in the playoffs, and I think that's going to hurt for the Oilers to
Yeah.
possibly lose him. But maybe you are selling him a little high in terms of that. But
I also I've said this before. I want to see contract year Warren Foegele. Because if
that's a great point.
He screams a guy, and again, this will be his last year in Edmonton, I think, because either it doesn't go well and you're like, okay, goodbye, get a fresh start, or he's going to start scoring on his breakaways and he's going to score 20 goals this year. And then you'll be too expensive and you'll have to go in.
He'll just walk in UFA, but
Yeah.
you get that Warren Foegele. But if you could get rid of those, there's a lot of cap that the Oilers get for what they're looking for doing.
Basically $6 million.
Pretty much 6
close to
million.
him. Yeah. It's interesting. I think and you'll see mine, I guess, in a second. You're right in line with a lot of it. David Kempf, that is exactly what Frank Saravalli has his projection at, is 2 years, 1.8.
That's what I went off.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Connor Brown one
Say that. You're supposed to say it was just.
I thought about it myself.
I gave it to Frank.
Yes.
was
Frank and I
Janmark.
text.
Janmark wasn't in that article though, right? No.
No,
I think you're actually a little high on Janmark. I think his is going to come in maybe even lower than what he got last year
You think so? I give him a little bit of a raise.
because he earned it.
Hey, he got injured a lot in
Cost
the
of
playoffs.
living
We owe him.
increase.
Yeah,
Inflation.
Yes, exactly. He's coming from tax-free states. We got to make up for that for him.
Okay, so I think we can go to mine next, my trades and signings, and I think what you'll see is they're largely the same. I was in dark mode on Cap Friendly, so
Nice,
it's maybe a little
nice.
harder to read. I was Yamamoto to Chicago for a 5th, and Foegele going to Arizona for a 4th, but San Jose's 4th, so it actually could be a pretty early 4th in the draft. I'm worried those are both a little high. Like Yamamoto might end up being a 7th, and Foegele might end up being like a 6th.
You might even have to throw a little something in there. Like maybe it's Yamamoto and the Oilers sending a 7th this year or something to get
Take
a
him.
fifth this year type thing.
Frank had on our show Wednesday kind of said that Yamamoto may suddenly be becoming the easier one of the two to move. Like he didn't say there's a market developing, but he said like they have someone who'll take him for nothing kind of thing. And now they're looking to see if they can get something. So I don't know. I think Chicago makes a ton of sense. I know Tyler Mulick in the comments has been all over that. He also adds that they have Janmark at 2 by 1.8. So my Janmark contract there at the bottom is pretty low. I had Bouchard at 3, not 3.5.
Mhm.
I think if it's the 1-year deal, it's going to be cheap because he has no ground to stand on, right? Like there's nothing there.
Yeah, I would agree. And what's going on?
Who's there?
Bag milk.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
He's just leaned over, flexing at.
Okay.
Okay.
That's wildly. Okay.
Yeah, Bouchard's probably going to fall somewhere between 3 and 3.5, right? I just kind of is what it is.
You go to him, and if it's a 1-year 3, you're going, the cap's going up next year.
Yeah.
You're going to get your money next year.
Yeah.
We need a little bit of a savings this year. And
Basically
that's
what Ryan McLeod did this last year.
Yeah. And that's where you can maybe then get him to closer to that 3 as opposed to the 3.5.
Yep. I have a similar deal or exact same deal for both McLeod and Costin. I think those are pretty cut and dry.
I'll be honest. I did not look at yours when I made mine. I didn't open your email until after I made my rosters. So yeah.
My free agents are a little bit different. Granted, I may be a hair low on Janmark, I guess, but Connor Brown, 1 year, $2 million seems about right. I didn't sign Raphael Lavoie. Not that I don't think he's getting signed. I just think he starts the year in the minors, especially with kind of the way I have the roster going.
But he's waiver eligible. He's not waiver eligible.
Yeah, that is a good point, Liam. That is a good point. You probably can't sneak him through. So I had Taves and Bonino, but this all kind of ties together in what I eventually get to with my final lineup. Okay. I don't think you actually signed both Jonathan Taves and Nick Bonino. I think you signed one of them. You get one good veteran fourth line center. I just threw them both there because, listen, if Taves is going to come back and play, he's probably the guy. If he's not going to come back and play, the idea of getting Nick Bonino potentially on a bit of a pseudo hometown discount, spends his summers here, all of that stuff, wife's from around here. If you can get him on a nice cheap deal, we know there's been interest in the past, then you just, instead of Taves, you go get Bonino, and with whatever one's off the roster, that's your Lavoie money to keep him up, is kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, it all adds up to me.
Which would you prefer, Taves or Bonino? Because Taves, I sit there and look at it and go, do you not get worried just with the injuries? But he'd that you sign him for $1 million, all of a sudden he shows up, plays for a little bit, get hurt, and you just don't have him for much of the year.
Yeah, and like not even, I mean, it's not injuries, it's like long COVID and things that won't go away. Yeah. So, but maybe if you bring him in on a 1 year, $1 million deal, you're kind of giving him the, hey, like load management. We've never seen it in the NHL. But maybe this is a scenario where they always go, hey, like every fourth game, we're sitting here.
People hate hearing that.
I know.
But maybe for bottom 6, people would understand that a little bit more.
People hate load management, but we see a comment from So Baked. Just throw Taves on LTIR. Yeah, there you go.
Throw Taves on LTIR, free up another $1 million, sign Patrick Kane in November when he's back fully healthy. Easy peasy. Job's
Bring
done.
back Duncan Keith out of retirement.
Yeah. Hey, we're throwing hypotheticals out there.
Actually, I don't mind the Patrick Kane, just like the hunt for Patrick Kane come November, December next year. Didn't even think of that.
Yeah, they've done it with Evander Kane already.
So we we outlined our trades, Liam. And again, we didn't look at each other's work before doing this. Neither of us had a big deal.
There's just no money. Like it'd just be so difficult to do. You make that big trade and essentially you're filling holes with like a James Hamlin. To be honest,
you don't want that.
Like the team's got to be better overall, and I would love Travis Konechny here, but it just seems so unrealistic and it's so difficult to pull off.
Even Brett Pesci, like then if you want to bring in a Pesci again, I don't think he would sign a long-term deal in Canada. So you're dealing with a pure 1 year rental for Brett Pesci. You bring in Pesci, then you got to find a taker for CC, and you got to get out of that contract. Even then, you're losing $1 million. And I think the interesting part of doing this exercise was, just again, when you get your hands on the numbers and having to re-sign everyone, it is so hard to keep this team cap compliant, even with both Foegele and Yamamoto out the door.
Yeah. Like, what do they have? About $5 million in cap space right now. You have to sign Bouchard and McLeod, and then it's gone, basically. And then you move other guys, and you manage to bring back a Clint Costin, a Lavoie, like whoever else it may be, right? A Janmark, and then it's like, okay, well, now you hope Connor Brown takes a discount to come here. Yeah, it's kind of the deal on it, right?
And like again, we both had our rosters. I guess we'll see in the next screen, but like I think I had like $130,000 in cap space left.
Yeah, I had 200 and something, but I did 20 minutes.
And that is banking on Brown taking a discount. Yeah. That is cutting 2 pieces off your forward group. Like it's tough,
but I could see a lot of players taking that little bit of a discount for the 1 year deal because if you're a free agent this year,
Mhm.
like I'll even go as far as if you're Austin Matthews, why would you sign a contract that for a longer term when you know the cap's going to jump up?
Do the LeBron.
Well, that's
Yeah.
get the 1 year. Even we saw it in Edmonton too. Tyson Barrie came here for the 1 year, now ended up staying, but it's okay. You have a great season, and all of a sudden next year when the cap goes up and everyone has money to spend, and we know what NHL GMs do when they have money to spend.
Frank thinks
They throw it out there.
Said on the DFO rundown today that GMs he's talked to have it at about 90 million next year.
And that's where I think even if you're the Oilers, you have a good team as is. Do you really want to lock into a long-term contract? Like, you try to have even extra cash come off the books next year, where then you can go out there and really help this team, where you also still have a chance at winning this year.
Yeah, and I think for a guy like Connor Brown, like, it just makes too much sense. And again, we played the Gazdic clip yesterday. Like, the fit is right there. Nuge Lover said the Athletic had Connor Brown to the Oilers at 1 year, 1.5. Great. If you get it 1.5, I mean, get him at 1. Who cares? Cheaper the better on this guy. You're going to load it up with bonuses, and he'll get his money that way. And he's also trying to set himself up for, like you said, Maddie, getting a bigger deal next offseason. Let's flash up. So this will be Liam's. This is your final roster, right, Liam? This is the way you have it all diced up.
I think so.
Defense.
Yep.
So like the forward group, no, again, we walked through this. Holloway's on your forward group. Derek Ryan's down there. He's resigned. David Camp on your fourth line. I like that David Camp signing. Actually, I think that's a pretty good shout. Then I'm assuming in this, your extra forward is Lavoie.
Yes. So
Right.
the cap's going to go up $1 million, right? That's the
Yeah.
rumor. So that'll give me room for Lavoie.
Okay.
So
You
Broberg is
I
not.
was going to say
yeah.
Broberg.
Broberg is in the minus.
Because you're going with, again, the tightest roster
Yeah.
possible.
The tightest roster, and also like
That's a mistake, I think.
Broberg to me, like he's not going to play.
Unless you're going 11-7 on some nights.
Sure, but even then he's playing like 4 minutes. So I just think Broberg in the minors, if there's no room for him within that 6, is a better place for him. I'd rather have Marcus Niemelainen sat in the bleachers and
Better to be
Broberg.
playing games,
Yep.
playing top minutes, as opposed to sitting in a press box watching NHL games.
Yeah, and what is
He was
Broberg?
drafted-
22?
He was drafted like 4 years ago.
Whatever.
I don't know. I just think it's
I just-
shit or get off the pot time.
I don't know. I'm not fully there yet because he's still good. Like when he comes into the team, he plays a role. The others just don't have a fit for him right now. I'd rather he was down in Bakersfield dominating everything. And if he did come up and pushes someone out the lineup, then that's good.
Or next year he's taking over.
Maybe, yeah.
If you're dealing with that massive cap, then it's all of a sudden you've got a spot next year.
Yeah, yeah.
Cody Ceci can go and he could jump in.
Mulek says they both require waivers. Would Broberg already require waivers next year? I'm double checking Cap.
I don't think so.
Cap Friendly says he's still waivers exempt. So,
Still on his
yeah,
rookie
because
deal.
he's still on his ELC too. But where is Lavoie?
Lavoie is not because he's
He's not. He's going to be entering his 23-year-old season here. So he turns 23 in September. Yeah. Okay. So Lavoie wouldn't be. So you'd have to keep him on your roster somehow. So I think you need to have the extra spots. Aaron, if you can flash up mine. I think mine broken into 2 screenshots, or did I just have
I
one?
plugged into one.
You put it all on one board. Good man. I have them actually having enough money because, again, I went cheaper on Janmark, which is a big thing. But again, maybe if I'm a little bit under on Janmark, maybe I'm a little over on a piece like Connor Brown. But with the extra D-man and Broberg, and again, I had both Bonino and Taves
so
here,
one's there, one's not.
and one's Lavoie is basically the way it works. You're still going to have enough money, 100 to 200K in leftover cash, which is going to allow you to accrue cap space throughout the year. And come trade deadline time, it makes life a lot easier when you're not in LTIR space. But Tyler Mulek says no changes on the D. That's an L. But I think the point Matt made just hit it on the head. This blue line as constructed has basically gotten you to a Western Conference final and within 2 games of one again this year.
Well, and you didn't have Ekholm for a lot of this. Ekholm is full season now with the Edmonton Oilers.
Remember for 4 or 5 months of last season, they were running Nurse Ceci, Bouchard Broberg, and then Kulak and Barry. And however they were dicing those pairings up. But for the most part, that was it. This is better than the defense you started last season with.
100%. Just right having Ekholm right there. And you also saw the team when Darnell Nurse was getting and playing a bit better once Ekholm came in. He helps out. So does Darnell Nurse have a better season this year because Ekholm's here full time?
Yeah. And again, you can go 11-7 some nights. You have a bunch of options. This blue line, and again, I understand that there's an itch to go get Pesci. Again, Do you give up a first and a prospect for Pesci knowing you can't sign him long-term or knowing he's not open to an extension with a Canadian team long-term? I don't think you do that. And this blue line, again, as constructed, was what, a point or two away from winning the Western Conference in the regular season?
A win away, yeah.
This isn't, and again, you have Niemelainen and Broberg as your 7 and 8. They got a guy like Cam Dineen in the minors. Maybe you pick up a guy for $850K, something like that. Even with an injury, this blue line can probably get you to a playoff spot, or it will get you to a playoff spot by the deadline, and reassess then.
Well, the Ekholm deal again, right? Like, you got him at the deadline because you waited. We all knew the Oilers were going to have to make a move on the blue line this past season, and they did it. It came at the deadline. So this team, as long as they don't go through the December, January slump that they've had for I don't know how many straight years, they're going to be a playoff team. They're going to be a team that is going to be near the top of the division, top of the conference. So you don't have to worry about the playoffs. It's about at the deadline, if the blue line has a hole that you need to go address it then. Or maybe it's going to be a forward spot that you need to go address. Or maybe it's going to be goaltending. Like, who knows? You could save that until the deadline because this team is good enough. They're a playoff team. It should be just going through the motions in a sense, this 82-game regular season, because it all comes down to playoffs. They should be a playoff team.
Yeah, Christopher Palmer says CC can still be moved mid-season to help us out.
Like Tyson Barrie.
Yeah, Eric said CC and Nurse first pair again is so detrimental, but it's been their top pair for 2 seasons now. CC's had a bad year and he had a good year. I don't think they can go into the playoffs with CC as their top pairing D-man again, but I think they can get through a regular season up until the deadline to whenever. Because again, if someone had told you a year ago the Oilers were going to get Matthias Ekholm at the deadline before his fancy extension with the Preds had even kicked in, you would have been laughed at, right? Like, he wasn't going to be available. And look at the NHL standings. Everyone thought Nashville was going to contend. They got forced into a rebuild because their season went bad. You don't know who in January or February next year is going to be 12 points out of a playoff spot and going, shit, we got to have this. We got to have something from this year. So let's get draft picks.
Yep.
You never know. So I don't think leaving the blue line alone is like a major detrimental mistake from Holland.
I think it's just a reactionary thought from everyone, to be honest, of it needs to be addressed today. It's like, well, no, the playoff, as long as your roster is good by March 2nd, that's when it really matters, right? And the Oilers have a chance to do that. There's the rumors that Cody Ceci was hurt all season as well, so maybe he comes back and is a little bit better this season. Vincent Desharnais gets a full summer of training to be an NHL defenseman. That's going to make an impact on this team. And I think this blue line's fine. I think, you said Nurse and CC is the number one pairing. I think it just depends on the situation and how everyone's deployed. I think if the Oilers are chasing games, and Ekholm and Bouchard are going to play way more than those two. And if they're winning games, then we'll see more of Nurse and CC and the defensive style of it. So I think it's fine. I think it just comes down to the entire team as a whole to play better team defense, to be honest, rather than the actual blue line.
Well, and also just say, what if Jack Campbell just has a better year in net regular season-wise? Right there, that
is Jack Campbell going to be an 888 again? I think he'll be a bit better.
So right there, there's your team defense taking a little bit of a step up during the regular season. So, because if that's an issue, if Jack Campbell is 880, terrible again next year, there's a problem again, and that will have to be addressed whether deadline or next offseason. But right there, you'd have to expect he's going to take a step up. I think it's reasonable to look at what Stuart Skinner did this year in the regular season. Expect that again. It wasn't like he was pulling a 930 save percentage or something this is such a high. Can he keep that going? He was fine. So I think just right there from goaltending, what you would expect, that helps your defense too.
What do we got going on in the chat here? Naeem said the CC buyout super reasonable right now. It is when you look and go, hey, you saved $2.1 million. But then you don't have a top pairing defenseman and you've only saved $2.1 million, right? At least and again, he's not great in that spot, but it's the devil what Cody Ceci's limitations are. When you're rattling him out there for 22, 23 minutes a game, what he will and won't bring you on a night-to-night basis. So I don't know. As we've been more distant from the playoffs, I've kind of softened on my criticisms of CC and Desharnais because Mulek said, Vinny got exposed in the playoffs. It was his first playoffs. It was his first season. He doesn't even have a full season under his belt. Yeah. And I know he's 26 years old, but maybe we should give the guy some time. He's shown he's a late bloomer in his career. It was a learning curve.
But that's a tough thing to sell in this city.
It
time.
Is.
Time to take that. That's right when there's the win now mode, the window's there. People want it to be done now. And I think, though, sometimes people focus too much on the fact that they lost. They got knocked out in the second round, as opposed to looking and going, this is a good hockey team, and they could go do it again next year.
Vinny is 27. Sorry. Brent Smythe says, are they in win now? If so, you trade for Pesci. But you only get so many bullets, right?
Well, yeah, and it's win now, but like, how long do you want win now mode to be open for? How long was it open for the Penguins? How long was it open for, Blackhawks and stuff? You don't want to go win now mode and have it for 1 year, and then you've given up all your assets to get this one guy for this season.
Jeremy says, how can you vote? Both fools have the Oilers writing off another season. And you said, thanks for the feedback, Jeremy.
What's the saying? All publicity is good publicity.
Yeah. But again, it's our window. No more excuses. It is our window. What did Frank say today on DFO Live? He says, this is the Oilers' year. Everything is lined up to this being the Oilers' year. But you only have so many first-round picks. You only have so many high-end prospects. And you only have so much cap space. So again, are you going to be kicking yourself? And maybe I'm on the wrong side of this. Are you going to be kicking yourself if you give up a first plus or Broberg in a second for Brett Pesci, and then come the trade deadline, I don't know who it is, but a true, Pesci's not Ekholm level. I think he's Ekholm light. But what if there's an Ekholm level righty that's suddenly available? Are you kidding yourself?
And you have him for a few more seasons as opposed to Pesci, who's going to walk in the summer. And now you're replacing him, and you gave up those pieces for that short period.
And it's gone. It's nothing. And I agree. Win now. Win at all costs. Trade every pick and every prospect. But there's a finite amount of them. You only have so many bullets in the chamber. And I just sit there and kind of go, is the summer the time to pull it? Or as we saw last year, is it better to maybe just wait? We did the exercise, Liam, of looking at next year's UFA D-men. I don't remember what I
can't remember. Yeah.
What the conclusion was.
This window, I get it. The Oilers, but what is no more excuses? They have to go all in. If Holland's able to persuade Connor Brown to come here on a cheap deal, that's very good. Able to get Bouchard on a cheaper deal in 1 year, and you bring back the majority of your roster, how is that not going all in? Does it have to be a Konechny? It just isn't realistic. I would love Konechny and Pesci and all those guys here, but it just doesn't work as well as we all want it to.
This is reminding me of the deadline, where for weeks prior to the deadline, everyone was upset Ken Holland wasn't doing anything. And it's win now mode. You got to win now. Bob Stauffer's on, Sportsnet yelling at Ken Holland. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, they go trade for Matthias Ekholm. Yeah. And everyone's like, what a great trade deadline by Ken. And all win now mode, they're in it. Let's wait and see how, I feel like it's deja vu right now with that. It's everyone, it's win now. You got to go do something. Well, maybe you don't have to. Maybe, again, this team is good. Do people look there at this team and think it's going to miss the playoffs as is? I don't think so. So now you just got to bolster your team. There's small spots. And again, I'll go back to one of the reasons they're out of the playoffs this year to the Golden Knights, goaltending. You get a little bit better goaltending and you might beat the Golden Knights. And they were the best challenge to the Golden Knights these playoffs. If the Pittsburgh Penguins don't piss their pants and lose to Chicago, Florida doesn't make the playoffs. Yeah. Florida goes down 3-1 to the Boston Bruins. Sergei Bobrovsky, out of nowhere, enters a zone he's never been in before, and they waltz their way to a cup final. Right? You just got to get to the dance, and you can bolster yourself at the deadline. If Laurent Brossoit doesn't get hurt, do the Golden Knights win the cup? Yes, it's such a chance. The whole playoffs is such a chance. Yeah, here, Tyler Mulick. Wait, Darnell Nurse and Jared Spurgeon. So there's an example. What if Minnesota, who again, cap is staying flat, they're getting screwed by that because they thought when they bought out Suter and Parise, they're like, the cap will start going up. We'll still have money. They have $9 million even in cap space for this offseason. A terrible buyout. They have $14.72 million in dead cap space. It's terrible. And they got 2 more years of dealing with that. But they only have $9 million. They got to sign Philip Gustafson, breakout season, probably getting $3 to $4 million. They need to re-sign Kalen Addison and replace probably a defenseman because they're losing both Dumba and Klingberg. And up front, they're not really losing a lot, but they only have 9 forwards under contract. So they are right up against the cap. They need a number 1 center because they don't have one right now. They might not be able to get one because they can't afford it. It wouldn't surprise me, my whole point here, if a team like Minnesota all of a sudden is like Nashville next year. And they're sitting there going, Minnesota's listening on Spurgeon. Minnesota's listening on Jonas Brodin and things like that. Yeah, those are kind of team. Yeah, it would add up. Hey, what are they going to do? They're probably going to move out someone, right, this summer to help sign all those guys.
I think they might look to trade Fleury.
Yeah, that would make sense.
That guy, man.
Has he got a no
Goligoski.
move or anything?
Yeah, he's got a no
35
move.
plus
That's-
no move.
For a guy
Is he going to
that's-
want to play somewhere else? We keep hearing that he never wants to play somewhere else, but then he's playing somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Chicago thing. It was like he's retiring. He's not going to Chicago. Then you're right. He went to Chicago. And then the
What
mini
if-
thing
In a minute, you know.
The reunion happens.
in Pitt?
Pittsburgh need a goalie.
Kyle Dubas does like
Ooh.
doing things just purely off the vibes. He went and for whatever
Yes.
reason got Matt Murray, and that
He
made no
wanted
sense.
Fleury in Toronto.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
The funny thing with Fleury, this is a tangent now, but like one of the all-time good guys. All you ever hear is like great teammate, great locker room guy. Organizations love him. Marketing golden child, great goalie, wins everywhere, all this stuff. And he's just been like thrown around the last 5 years. Like you wouldn't believe. Pittsburgh spit on him, kicked him out the door. Bill Foley told him in an elevator, buy your house. You're going to retire a Golden Knight. Then like 4 months later, they traded him for nothing after he
Face
won
of
the Vezina.
franchise.
Oh my God. Yeah, you do feel for him. But they'll have to try and make money work, or else I could see Minnesota slipping next year. You just, again, 12 months ago, Ekholm wouldn't have even been anywhere close to the radar because he just signed an extension. So you just don't know who's going to be available next year. Someone says, when's the draft lottery? So they're already punting on next year. No, start looking at that.
And I just don't get how you could look at this team and the way it is and go, they're going to bottom out. The
No,
last
well,
2 years,
I
they
don't get
didn't.
it
The
either.
last 2 years, they were actually quite good.
American Thanksgiving, I always freak the hell out, but they always come back.
And like, it's just, you got to get through December and January. If they could stay afloat, then you're not battling so hard in March and April. That's just the key. But they're a playoff team.
Yeah.
People just got to get used to that.
AMA Travel Trade Machine. We kind of loosely talked about that, but we basically just had Foegele and Yamamoto going out the door for late round picks. That's your AMA
Essentially,
Travel
yeah.
Trade Machine for today. There's nothing sexy about it.
They're
You guys
getting
don't think
dumped.
they'll trade then Jack Campbell?
Really? So
That's the big one that people wanted for a while.
I know, but we have a
right?
rule in the chat where if you
Okay.
bring up Campbell or Nugent-Hopkins rumors, you get muted for
Oh.
300 seconds, and you're
So
in
I'm muted
timeout.
for 300 seconds.
Yeah, you gotta sit out for a little bit. Matt Iwanyk, formerly of TSN 1260, now
Yeah.
unrestricted free agent,
Yeah.
just chilling. Going to be Edmonton's #1 Riverhawks fan this summer.
Riverhawks and back to being an Elks fan.
Yeah,
Let's
you can
go,
finally be an
baby.
Elks fan again.
Got to go to a first Elks game as a fan, probably 14 years, 15 years. So I got to go on Sunday and cheer them on to a loss against the Argos if Steve McAdoo's remaining as the offensive coordinator.
They're so bad.
They're so bad.
So bad.
OC's trash and the quarterback got worse this year.
Yeah, how did that happen?
I don't
thought-
know.
Yeah.
He has the most powerful arm, yet he underthrows and hits all of his receivers in the feet.
It's remarkable.
You get a point by putting the ball through the end zone, and they
How
got
do you
shut
get
out.
shut out
Like,
in CFL?
Did you
and they
hear
have great weapons, but the OC
Yeah.
and quarterback, when you have that as a tandem and it's awful, it's terrible.
what happened to that Canadian quarterback they had? Was
Trey
it?
Ford,
Yeah, he got hurt, right? And
he
then
got
just
hurt
never
last year, came back, but like he's still raw. You
Okay.
sports quarterbacks don't start a lot, but
Oh.
it's going to be a couple years. Although you're at a point right now, can it be worse than Cornelius?
Honestly,
Like-
and it's crazy that they came out the other day and were like, "We're not changing him."
I think that's just a confidence thing.
Yeah,
I think that was just to be like, hey, keep your confidence up.
that's
We
probably
got you.
fair. Yeah,
But this week, he's got to be on that short lease. They don't have a good 3-4 drives to start. You got to do something.
well,
Have to, or that crowd's going to be mad. Whoever's there.
yeah,
You'll
it's
be
just
there, so
because it
you'll
was
be mad.
it was a great
Yes.
crowd, right? In the first game, the
Yep,
home opener,
32,000.
and then you have a good game, you obviously lose, and then you follow it up with a shutout in the game 2. It feels like the season's done already.
They were 1 yard away from a touchdown. at winning
know.
the game.
My dad
And
took
you get a
video.
yard off the ball.
That was brutal too. Oh my goodness.
But yes, Riverhawks, Elks. That's my summer. It's going to be great.
We're talking about off-season moves and, maybe seeing something this summer that stuns us. We don't think it's likely, but in your time working, were you ever on the air for a move that was like a,
Taylor Hall, 1 for
Holy-
1.
oh, that was during your show.
It was on our show. We had Scott Miller, baseball writer.
Oh, he's
Remember
great.
Scott? And we had him on talking about a piece he did on Lenny Dykstra.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, a tweet came out of Taylor Hall's being traded. So I told Dave in like his ear, like, hey, we got something going here. And so first I wanted to wait to make, because Twitter, like sometimes
You
fades.
never
So
know.
waited a little bit. It happened. So we had to cut Scott short. We went on the air with that 1 for 1. Like, we're getting dusty on the phone. So then I got into my car early to head down to Rexall for the Peter Shirelli And that's when PK Subban happened and Stamkos happened. And that day was wild. So that was one of them. And then from CFL standpoint, when Ricky Ray got traded, we were sitting there like we're just talking. And then all of a sudden we got the call that Ricky's being traded. And we're like, oh, crap. And so we were dealing with that. And then we're hearing the package, Steven Giles, a first-round pick, and Grant Shaw. And we're like, and then that was it. And like it was stunning. And that one took us all day for that one. So those are probably two of the biggest trades that honestly I was a part of for all of that.
Christopher Palmer asked Pronger Pekka, but that was well before.
That was before me. Yeah. Because that was 06 and then Pronger was obviously 07 and stuff. So that was before me. I started in really 10. So I like when Taylor Hall's draft year, that was the first one. Of the first things I did actually was Pat Quinn's conference call when he basically got fired. So they said they were moving him in a role and he was asked, this doesn't feel like a promotion. He's like, it's not. So yeah,
it's not.
So yeah, no, there hasn't been too many crazy shocks. Actually, one of the biggest shocks recently wasn't on air, but it was the PGA Live thing.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't see that coming when that news came. But no, Taylor Hall 1-for-1, Ricky Ray, those were the two big ones.
Yeah, the Hall one was insane. I was working at the radio station then.
Were you?
But I was on a street team event at Commonwealth.
Were you?
Yeah, with downtown Freddie Paps.
No way.
Yeah. I think he was
showing you the ropes.
Yeah, he was showing me the ropes. And I just remember I was like, "Can I go sit in the truck for a bit?" And I just listened to you guys and let whoever was doing the rest of the job do the rest of the job. I don't know. The offer sheet to Justin Schultz. I don't remember that. I don't think that ever happened. Them signing Justin Schultz was a big deal.
That was at the Millennium Place in Shore Park. He signed the contract.
Yeah.
I saw it, witnessed it with my own eyes. The same day I met Nail Yakupov.
And today is the anniversary of Nail Yakupov being selected first overall by the Edmonton Oilers. I remember Waz told me to bring that up on the show today.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that was 2012, right? Hall, Nuge, Yak. Yeah. So that means it's been 11 years since Nail Yakupov was taken first overall.
Oh boy.
Wait, was it 3 in a row or was it 3 of 4?
3 in a row.
Was it 3 in a row?
Yeah. Oh, was it? No, it was. Yeah, it was. 2010, 2011, 2012.
Yeah. Because
they jumped up, they passed the Devils. Like that was the one they won. No, Devils won, and the Oilers were. I can't.
Because then 2013 was Nurse, 2014 was Dry, 2015 was Connor,
David, yeah,
Puljujarvi, never forgetty, and then after that it just goes into mid-round picks for the most part. Bouchard, yeah. So yeah, Yak 11 years ago. The funny thing about the Yakupov one was, even if they would have been like, nah, this Yakupov guy's a bust, even with hindsight, if you would have gone back as some sort of magical draft fairy to Steve Tambellini and been like, this Yakupov guy's going to suck, do not draft him, they wouldn't have done any better.
No.
They either would have taken Ryan Murray or Alex Galchenyuk.
Yeah, you have to go down to 5 to Morgan Riley to get a half-decent player.
And you don't get Connor McDavid. Butterfly effect, baby.
All roads lead to...
it's the only good thing Dallas Eakins did. Was be a terrible coach that led the Oilers to get McDavid.
You should be in attendance. We're doing a thing with the Riverhawks. So Jay, who's sometimes on the show, usually in your seat, he thinks he can hit a home run at Remax Field.
No.
With a juiced up bat.
No.
I don't think he can either.
No.
When is that?
It's
There's 0 chance.
I think it's late July, early August.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Your guys' night.
Yeah.
That is not a hitter-friendly park. That's deep.
I've seen one home run now.
Home opener this year, they had a home run.
Oh.
But no, like if you look up like left right field wall, which is the shortest, I think it's about comparable to Rogers Center with the Jays.
Yeah.
Like and that's not a short wall too. Like that has some height to it. So I wish him luck, but I don't think there's a chance.
He thinks, like, I've seen him hit a golf ball and he can hit a goddamn golf ball, like very high. He can hit it. He has a swing ability. I will say that. So
you do know a golf ball's a lot weight-wise,
but he's also like shopping around to people and getting like he's trying to find like a juiced bat from before they flipped a BB core and all of this stuff, like a juiced metal bat to do this with. Which is why I'm like, if he just connects on one, he might give it a push.
He also has to pull it perfectly down the foul line.
Yeah.
Like it can't go towards this. I'm assuming he's a righty. It can't go towards like the scoreboard or something like that.
August 3rd.
That's the day?
That's the day.
Okay.
It's 340 on the left, 320 on the right.
Oh, and
420 dead middle, but it has the green monsters.
Yeah, you're only hitting that wall.
Yeah.
Matt Stairs hit it over that once.
Really?
I
That's the
hit
story.
the outfield wall last year. I had one of the pitchers giving me meatballs right down the middle.
Regular ball, and you hit the wall.
I mean, it took me 200 swings at it.
Well, maybe Jay has a chance.
Tyler Mulick seen a home run in a softball game there before. So Baked says he thinks I'll hit one before Jay. I don't think
Are
I
you doing
can. I'm doing it too. I don't think I can. I know my abilities. I played in a men's softball league where it's like 260 to the fence, double fence. I've hit one home run in 3 years. I
Right.
don't try. I know my power, so I don't think I can do it.
I couldn't do it.
You can't swing a bat?
Not that way. I can do it this way. Cricket. Yep.
Could you? Have you played cricket before?
Yep.
Really?
Well, since he knows how to swing it that way, I'm
I know. I
assuming-
couldn't tell if he was
Yeah.
just being a smartass.
No, I can bowl and I can hit.
Really?
I'm an all rounder.
I got into the 2015 Cricket World Cup.
The Ashes are on right now.
This is the
Oh, yeah.
Betway Other Sports
Yeah,
Report.
Well, it was one because
they doing?
Sportsnet had the rights, and they did cricket in 60. So they did
Oh,
the match
yeah.
in 60 minutes, and it was awesome.
Perfect.
I loved it.
The England won the last World Cup, and it went to a super over, and it was
Is
the
that
most.
like overtime.
Yeah, but it's just so an over is six. You get 6 bowls, so you get 6 attempts to hit it. And I think they played New Zealand, and it was like intense. Like it got to the point where like New Zealand, the pitcher was throwing the ball, and it hit the other guy's bat as he was running between the bases, and it went out for 4 runs. So they got like 5 runs or something like that. It's crazy stuff. Look it up.
Anytime I get into cricket, I like start understanding it, and then
Yeah,
I go away for like a
it's-
couple months, and I'm gone.
out of
I
that.
forget it all again. But it is fascinating.
Yes, it is. It's a 5-day sport.
Just taking a look right now. Sussex is playing Gloucestershire.
Gloucestershire.
There you go. Sussex, big favorites on Betway. So if you want to get in
Yeah.
on some cricket action,
Anyone
I
else
do
on
like
today?
Yorkshire.
Yorkshire's plus
Oh,
110
big
dogs.
fan of them.
Any-
I think they've got Birmingham. Is that?
Yeah, the Bears.
I think they got. I think the Bears are feeling a little too good about themselves right now.
A Lancashire playing? That was my team, the Lancashire Lightning.
I don't see. Oh, Lancashire.
Tomorrow,
Yeah, they're on tomorrow. Minus 225 favorites against Derbyshire.
as always.
Derbyshire.
Derbyshire?
Yep. Derbyshire.
You and your words.
It's like it's the Derby.
Oh boy.
Okay. Well, this was a fun show, Matt. Thanks
This
for
was
hopping
great.
on.
Glad to be here.
We even
Finally
went
got to
over
do it
our
done.
time limit. It's 3 minutes over. Y'all got extra content today. That's what you got for tuning into the show. Shout out to Star Mechanical, Edmonton's #1 plumbing and heating and company. Find them at starmechanical.ca. Cornerstone Insurance, Sherwood Ford the Giant, for inspiring our Sherwood Ford Giant Armchair GM edition of the show. Betway for the other sports report, 19 plus. Please play responsibly. No Jays tonight. There's really like not a lot of good sports on tonight.
NBA draft.
Oh, Wemby.
Wembanyama.
Yeah, he's gonna go one.
Yeah.
Uh,
Did you see him holding a baseball the other day?
Yeah, his whole hand
Holy
covered.
moly. He could have held 5 in one hand.
There's also
Raptors trade up to 3.
Ooh.
No,
Wait
Raptors
for
are
it.
too difficult to deal with until they fire Missouri. Is that his name?
Yeah,
Ah,
you
you have issues with
you've
Masai
soured on
Ujiri?
Masai.
Yes.
Oh,
He
don't
is-
too soon.
He's
In Masai, we trust.
yeah. Wow. Good
Also, you got. I think it's Bombers Lions tonight, Thursday Night Football, CFL.
Oh,
Oh,
CFL
Big
action.
West battle.
Who do you like in that one?
You got to go with Winnipeg, I think, but we'll find out what BC's made of.
So Wemby obviously going first
Yeah.
overall.
What
He
was
is,
that? Minus 100,000?
yeah. So I think you'd have to wager $1,000 to win
$100,000 to win $100.
I think so. Yeah.
Not bad.
Let's do it.
If you
You
bet
know?
if you bet $1,000, you would profit $1.
Let's do it.
10,000 is 10. 100,000 is 100. So no sense betting on Wemby. Number 2, Scoot Henderson's moved into the
Scoot.
favorite to be second overall, which I don't think is surprising at all.
Well, actually,
He's got that dog in him.
he should go second, but Michael Jordan's selling the Charlotte Hornets, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And apparently this is going to be his last move, and apparently Charlotte might not 100% be in on the Scoot Henderson. But that's his name,
Well,
right?
he gets the final say too. I think he
Yeah.
said like he gets final decision on who they pick.
So
as
then it could
his-
be Brandon Miller, who's plus 250.
I actually don't know who it could be. Maybe him, but it was people are just saying on Twitter like you can just guarantee Michael Jordan's last move as the owner is to totally fuck them even more.
He's been awful. He has been a
horrendous.
terrible owner.
The best thing he did was draft Campbell Walker, who's great, been a great player. But besides that, like I guess Lamelo's pretty
ball,
good.
yeah.
Yeah,
LaMelo.
Lamelo is
Ball
good.
has worked
LaMelo
out a
is
bit,
good.
but it
Boy,
hasn't
oh
done
boy.
much else beyond that.
Plus 225 on the first 3 picks going Wemby, Scoot, Brandon Miller.
Wemby, Scoot, Brandon Miller plus 225.
That seems like decent juice,
Yeah, that
actually.
does seem
Yeah,
pretty
I
good.
might do that.
Who
Yeah.
picked third again? Do you have that?
Portland.
Who have faking us by not trading Dame again. Classic.
I feel bad for Dame.
But isn't this
I
what he
don't-
come to my
wants?
Lakers.
This is what Dame wants.
What, to be on a shitty team?
But if he wanted to go, he could go.
Well, but there's talk that this summer he's wanting to go, but we'll see if that comes up.
Mm.
I hope Wembayama actually I'm worried for injuries for his career. I hope his body
Yeah.
holds because I think we're in for something special.
I was saying he could be like one of the best basketball players ever.
He could be, especially on. Of course, he goes to the
He
Spurs
looks
as well.
filled out. Like, you know, sometimes when you look, I think, were we talking about this, Aaron? Like, you look at sometimes these freakishly tall athletes, like Bull, and it was like, boy, they're like long and skinny, and you go, how? But Wemby looks like filled out to an
Yeah,
extent. Like,
but-
when he moves, he seems to move with some athleticism.
He looks kind of like a Kevin Durant to me, though.
Yeah, a
And
little bit.
Durant has battled the injuries, and that's my fear is that he gets that injury and
But Durant's still
Is
had a
that
great
worse?
career, or still having a great career.
yeah, no, 100%. So, but I want him it's even like those athletes that you want to stay healthy for their whole careers. Like
Yeah.
I think I was telling you this reason. Jacob DeGrom would be a guy I would have
Oh.
loved to have seen his entire baseball career healthy because he was just so amazing. And I fear that I'm just hopeful when Bayama could stay healthy and we could see something great because like LeBron's almost done. It would be great if he could take over that mantle.
And he's got the name for it, too. You don't want a boring name like LeBron. What a name, right? If his name
terrible.
was like Matt James, it would not, no offense to anyone named Matt. I guess you're
Yeah,
submitting.
no, that's cool.
But if it's
It just means God's gift, you know.
whatever. Right. But you know what I mean? It's just like, it would be dull if his name was like John James. It'd be like, Wembenyama.
You just called
Sick.
out LeBron there. You better watch out. Dusty might destroy your vehicle. Just saying.
Whoa.
He's gonna come at you. You
We're
don't
pretty
disrespect LeBron.
anti-LeBron podcast.
Hey, what about your guys Celtics making a big splash? Do you like it?
I don't know.
NBA show today.
I think it'll be all right. But the thing that irks me so much is Kevin Durant was on the table last summer for Jaylen Brown, and they just didn't do it. And now here we are trading for Kristaps Porzingis. Marcus Smart's been fine. He's just kind of just felt like he was going to be a Celtic forever. But he was such a weird trade because now Malcolm Brogdon might not be able to play anymore.
That's why the Clippers pulled out.
Yeah, so now maybe they're losing 2 plays in this deal, but they got a bunch of picks as well.
Yeah,
so
they got picks.
we'll see. But the Celtics, man, I
Memphis
don't
did
know.
well.
Yeah, they did do
And
pretty
when
well.
John Morant comes back from suspension, as long as he could just figure it out a little bit, that's a good team.
it was a lighter, not a gun.
Oh my God. A Zippo.
Prove me
He's
wrong.
tried every excuse.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
But
All
he's
right.
so good.
I know. Yeah, we're wrapping up the show today. NBA Everyday brought to you by Sherwood Ford the Giant, live from the Sports Closet studio. Wembenyama Spurs jerseys. I'm sure they'll have them at some point.
Yes.
And Connor Brown Oilers jerseys might be available as soon as 8 days from now.
Mm.
We'll see. That's a wrap on today's show. Thanks for hopping in, Maddie.
You bet. Anytime.
Back tomorrow, noon Mountain Time. Last show before I head out to Nashville. Won't want to miss it. I think Jay might be on, so we'll chat with you then.
Ooh.